This video will show how to convert your TRX4 from a long wheelbase to a short wheelbase. If you are looking for how to convert your short wheelbase to a long wheelbase, the process is the same. The only thing that will change is the part number used. One note is that the inner fenders don't work on a lot of Proline bodies and possibly others. Check with your manufacturer to be sure. This will mean that you need to reinstall the shock tower shown in this video after replacing the rear control arms and drive shaft. The first step is to remove your tire and wheels from your TRX4. We will then remove our body post mounts. After this, we remove the upper shock mounts that connect the shocks to the shock mounts. The next step is the removal of the front shock tower mounts. There are 3 screws to remove on the driver's side, including the steering linkage screw. Note the stock setting is the bottom hole for this screw, as can be seen in the video, and there are 2 screws to remove for the passenger side. We then remove the rear shock tower mounts. There are 3 screws which need to be removed here. The first screw, closest to the front of the vehicle and is only a placeholder screw, will replace the screw closest to the front of the vehicle on the rear shock tower mount. This is because the inner fenders require a wider screw set. If you are confused, the video shows what screws need to go where. There are 3 screws that need to be removed per side, with the placeholder screw being shorter than the other 2. The next step is to mount the inner fenders in the open holes on the body rail. The rear passenger fender is marked RR. The rear driver passenger fender is marked RL. The front are marked the same, with the front letter being F. Use the screws you removed from the shock tower mounts to install the inner fenders. Again, if you are installing a short wheelbase Proline body, that being a 12.3mm body, you will need to keep the shock tower mounts, or the inner fenders may require a significant amount of trimming to fit your new body. Make sure you attach the battery tray to the front fenders using the attached short screws that come with the conversion kit. The fenders then mount in the same exact way the shock tower is mounted and use the same screws. The next step is a bit difficult. We reattach the shocks to the upper mounts using the original screws. The best way to do this is to get eye level with the hole and ensure it is lined up before attempting to insert the screw. In the rear, the stock mounting hole is the third from the front of the truck, as can be seen in the video. The next step is to remove the rock sliders from each side of the truck so that we can access the rear control arm chassis mounts. There are 4 screws per side. We can then go ahead and flip the truck over so that we can access the rear control arms and rear drive shaft. To remove the rear control arms from the rear axle, there are 3 screws that we need to remove. There is 1 on top of the rear differential and 2 on each side that connect to the control arms to the rear shocks. The locations are pictured here. The front of the rear control arms mount to the chassis in 2 locations per side. They can be seen here. The next step is to replace the rear drive shaft on the axle side with the included shorter drive shaft portion. Make sure that the marks on both sides of the drive shafts line up before installing the control arms. The installation of the shorter rear control arms can be a bit confusing, but please use the graphic depicted here to help you. Note that the bent control arms are A and B, which attach to the top of the differential on the rear of the truck. The straighter control arms are C and D, which attach to the shock mounts and the chassis mounts closer to the front of the vehicle. After we have our control arms installed, the hard part is done. We can flip the truck over, reinstall our rock rails, body mounts, and put our Bronco body on. Note in the video, I am installing the stock Bronco bumpers. Thanks for watching, and check back soon if you want to see me putting more mods onto this Bronco. In the meantime, stay strong. Doggo out.